welcome to Dual Redundancy, a very special episode of Dual Redundancy because this week it's a clip show preparing you for the return of the Amazon Prime superhero series, The Boys. While Season 1 dropped all the way back in July of 2019, back in August of 2020 we covered all 8 episodes of Season 1 in our first ever catch-up series over 3 podcasts. This was to get ready for the second season, which was released in the fall of 2020 and was then covered by us over 2 podcasts. Today we are going to flash back to those discussions so you can be all caught up for Season 3, which will start on Friday, June 3rd. While there will be spoilers throughout the podcast, you can also listen along in batches as you rewatch or even watch the series for the first time. Each section will only cover a couple of episodes, so you can listen to those sections without worrying about future episode spoilers. First, we will discuss episodes 1 through 3 from Season 1. That is from episode 305, which we recorded on August 14th, 2020. Then we will head to episode 306, which covers episodes 4 through 6, before ending Season 1 with episodes 7 and 8 from episode 307. Then we will jump to episode 310 from September 19th, 2020, which will cover Season 2, episodes 1 through 4, before ending the podcast with episodes 5 through 8, which we recorded in episode 314 on October 16th, 2020. You got all that? Alright, well, let's get started. Grab a glass of milk and your Vought International merchandise. It's time to head to our discussion of the first 3 episodes of The Boys Season 1. This one's special because we're going all the way back to July 26, 2019, because that is when...
Pre-COVID.
Well, yeah, that is when The Boys came out on Amazon. It's our special summer TV catch-up series. Each week, we're going to talk about some episodes of The Boys. This week, episodes 1 through 3, The Name of the Game, Cherry, and Get Some. Those are the 3 episodes. We haven't watched any more than that. We've never seen this before, so it won't be spoiling past those 3 episodes. So we're going to go in kind of blind here of this show. And this show is based on the comic book of the same name, and it is following a team of vigilantes as they fight back against a super-powered individual conglomerate who abuse their abilities. All right, John, let's start off with you. What did you think of The Boys?
I really enjoyed it. So far, it's been pretty good. I think it's got a good handle on itself and what it is and what it's not. I think they really set a tone. Obviously, like Dave said, there's going to be some spoilers here. They really set a tone with the first episode of it being not your typical superhero, like, oh, they're infallible, they can't do any wrong, they're the shining light and the beacon of hope in society. It's not that at all. Pretty much the opening scene is a dude running through a girl and like vaporizing her, and she just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
There's none of her left but her hands. Later on, they get into some other stuff. That's adult content. That's. They're setting the tone that it's not just it's not Superman coming to save the day. It's an actual, the superheroes aren't great. They're not great people. And I really like that take on it,
Yeah, what would people really do with this kind of power? I mean, that's, we just I like that we just take for granted that anybody with that crazy amount of power would be like, yes, I'm gonna save the world, and it's like, no, dude. There's gonna be this in between, and when you add, and I like that they put like corporate enterprise in along with it, because this is exactly the kind of stuff that I feel like would happen in real life. So I really enjoyed it too. But Dave, you were saying?
Yeah, I would say it feels like a fully fleshed out world. And as you were saying, with this kind of like corporation, it's like the Marvel Disney. If they really owned a real life Iron Man, what would you do? And there's stuff we're going to get into. It's like, well, are you going to kind of work with the military to put them in the military? It looks like this vice president of this corporation is kind of selling these superheroes to different cities as their protection. It's like, oh, well, for, 30,000 you can have A-Train, but we can do Homelander for this. It's like it's all business. It's all the dark side of this optimistic movie you've seen before from Marvel, the dark side of everything. And it's dark. I mean, you got the superheroes laughing at the girlfriend's grisly death that he caused. They're all using their powers for bad.
Yeah, like
you got
sexual harassment.
they got the translucent man just spying, hanging out in the bathroom. What is he doing in there? It's just, yeah, it's dealing with weighty storylines, as you mentioned. Starlight has to do kind of maybe a sexual act for the Deep to get into this the main top 7 superheroes. But then you also have the kind of dark comedy of things. While it's dark and violent, you also have the comedy, which is pretty dark. You have I think it was like episode 2, the Make-A-Wish kid. His only wish is to see translucent, and then I think A-Train's like, well, he'll be back in a week, and then the doctor just like, no. Shaking his head and like,
oh man, that's funny.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. There's some WTF moments. There's a woman superhero, I believe it's Popclaw. She's on some kind of drug and I'll just say she's sitting on a man's head. Yeah. Doing something. We won't get into that. But his head literally smashes from the force of whatever's going on. And you see all of it. Like, it doesn't hold back, this show. What do you think of some of the fight scenes and the violence of the show, Kyle?
I thought it was great. I liked it. In fact, I mean, I didn't... Honestly, to me, this show is more about the drama of the characters, not even so much the fight scenes and all that stuff. That stuff is cool, but to me,
it's not the focus.
That's not like the main point about the show, and what keeps bringing me back. It's kind of how like debaucherous these characters are, and I couldn't help but feel like how much I wanted them to go down so bad.
Yeah, And I think they might. I don't know, but because there is already like a different faction growing here with the Butcher character teaming up with Huey, who has his girlfriend just destroyed from A-Train here. So he has a bit of a vengeful taste for A-Train and the rest of the team, and he's kind of possibly I think pairing up with the Starlight character. Obviously Starlight had a bit of a sexual harassment and in the first episode. She's also being like forced to wear a smaller costume that she doesn't want to, just for the look and for the popularity. So she's getting turned off to this whole, she was so excited about the 7, but now it's like when she's actually there, not too great. But I will say, I felt it was a little convenient that they happened to just sit next to each other on a bench. She's having this like the most dramatic call ever, and he's like a foot away. I would never make that call remotely close to anyone. Yeah. Meanwhile, they're sharing a bench together, and of course, like the two people, they have so much like in common, and just happen to be next to each other, and but we've seen them grow a little bit here together, and I think it's going to be them, possibly with this Popclaw character, who's very mad at A-Train.
Yeah.
Maybe it's this group versus this other group, and if I don't know if I missed something here, maybe something with that drug that's whatever that she injected, that maybe they can also take and give them an edge over some of the team. What do you think, John? Do you think that's possibly where it could be going?
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's something that's innate in most people, and these superheroes have found a way to be able to tap into it, and maybe this Compound V allows people who aren't tapped into it to be able to use whatever their power is. So I don't know. I think that's going to be hopefully find out soon. I mean, it seems like they got their hands on some at the end of this last episode, so I can only hope.
Yeah, and they sent the body or the remains of Translucent with a message to them, and Homelander calls. This is going to be a war. Right at the end of episode 3, there, Homelander is an interesting character because in at first, I believe in the beginning of episode 1, they said pretty much all these superheroes are terrible except for Homelander. Mm-hmm. He's actually a good one, and then we see by the end of episode 1, he's not a good one. He's bringing down a plane. So his character is very complicated. We have something involving him with the VP of the corporation. I don't know if he's into her. There's something,
or is it like,
there between the two?
I'm like, is that his kid? Like, because she did in vitro, right? So I was like, is that his kid? Like, I don't know what the deal is there. That's weird.
Yeah, so there's definitely something going on there. There's a whole plot with her, like they're trying to sell superheroes, to like the U.S. Army, which who knows? I mean, what that could lead to.
Just made me think, especially with when we were talking about the Homelander with the female character there, the blonde-haired vice president. I think they do a good job in this show of kind of explaining what the powers are, because we don't really know what these powers are. Like Superman, you know what Superman can do. Batman, you know what Batman can do. But these are made-up characters, obviously. But they do a good job of explaining what they can do without just laying it out there and plain. So especially when he was like looking, I forgot that he was like looking, or that he could see through stuff. And so when Starlight walks by and we see him looking through, I'm like, that's pretty well done. And they do that with some of the other characters too, about like they kind of show you what they can do rather than just flat out like, all right, so we're at the boardroom here. Here's what A-Train can do. You know what I mean? Rather than that,
Yeah. They set up a lot really well, and all the powers work really well within the story, whether it's translucent. We see him in the beginning of the episode 1. Okay, he has this power, and then when our character Huey goes in there to put the bug on the table, which I thought that it was really well directed. I was feeling the stress of him trying to do this mission, and then we see translucent appear, and you're like, Of course he saw. Of course it's going to be leading into something, and then we have a great fight scene with how the butcher has to kind of spit blood on him to actually just see his body as they fight, which I thought that was a nice touch. But you have that, you have the deep, searching the water for, all the different, the stuff with the plane, and then and we'll say you have the race with A-Train, which I will say that's probably if I went to that event, the most boring event to watch.
Yeah, right? It's like half a second long.
You get all dolled up, you're there, you get your seats, you got your popcorn, you're all ready, and it's like, and we're off. Okay, it's over now. It's just like, come on, really? Yeah, you missed it. You have to watch it on the screen anyways to see the slow-mo, but I had
one gripe about one of the episodes, and it was, I don't know why it took them so long to figure this out. When the minute they said that translucent skin was impenetrable, my next thought was poison him. Yeah. Why don't you poison him? And the minute I saw him take a drink, and I'm like, poison him. He has to, he's like he has to drink, obviously. He's like another human being in that way. Why not poison him? And it took the whole episode for them to figure out how to kill. And it's like, this isn't a wild idea. This is, you just poison him. You know what I mean?
You're always thinking about those. How do we kill the people the quickest? Let me see. Let me look at my Rolodex on my phone.
But they decided to stick a bomb up his butt, so that's different.
Well, that also works too. Whatever's the easiest. Probably the poison would have been a lot cleaner to have to clean up after that. But
the problem with that is I guess they knew they were tracking them, so that time was an issue.
Yeah.
So some poisons take time.
Yeah.
Or making them drink might take time,
Yeah.
And do the ricin from Breaking Bad, and it takes 48 hours to get moving. But no, I will say I wasn't sure at first I was going to be into the show, especially superheroes. We have mixed feelings on superhero content here, but I'm into it. I want to check out more. It sounds like we're all also into it. Yeah. So any final thoughts about The Boys? Any predictions of what we're going to see in the next few episodes?
Ooh.
Anything?
I think we're going to figure out more about Compound V, specifically probably what it does to non-superheroes. My big guess, and I haven't watched anything past, so I don't know, but I think that kid that the director has is going to develop powers. And I think that's why he's so interested in the kid.
Yeah.
Is because he's waiting to see what happens. Maybe the kid was given Compound V, or she took Compound V during her pregnancy or something. I don't know. It just seemed like they were bringing too much attention to the kid and her being a mother for it to go nowhere. So that's my thought.
And then maybe Starlight unknowingly becomes an informant for Huey.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely think they're definitely teaming up. With every episode of them somehow randomly meeting up with each other, it has to lead to something here. It's our weekly summer TV catch-up. We're talking about The Boys Season 1, episodes 4 through 6. Last week we did 1 through 3. Next week, 7 through 8. But this week we're doing 4 through 6, talking about the female of the species, Good for the Soul, and The Innocents. They all dropped on July 26, 2019. This show is based on the comic book of the same name, and it follows a team of vigilantes as they fight back against superpowered individuals who abuse their abilities. Let's start off with John. What do you think of this new batch of episodes of The Boys? You still in?
Yeah, I enjoyed them. I thought they were good. The story's starting to progress a bit. We're starting to understand. Obviously, I'm gonna delve into spoilers. It seems like they're figuring out what this V stuff is and how it's affecting these how it affects the soups and more like how it's turning babies into soups is what we kind of discovered. Yeah. And to me that kind of makes me wonder if maybe there are no natural soups and it's just they've all been manufactured. I mean, we don't know at this point, but maybe all these Homelander and all that, maybe they're not naturally born this way. We don't know, or maybe one of them was and they've distilled what makes them a soup into something else and made the rest. We really don't know, and I think that's part of the mystery that we're uncovering. But I liked it. I think it's progressing well. I can see where some of the drama's forming with some of the main characters and all that, and I'm looking forward to watching more of it. And I know we haven't gotten to the finale of this series yet, but I think I'm already on board for season 2.
Yeah, it's coming. I told Dark in the chat not to spoil anything, but he says, "Holy hell, that ending!" So. All right, we're in for a treat next week. We're going to go through some of the characters and what they're up to individually in a minute, because that's probably the best way to jump around the 3 episodes here. But Kyle, overall thoughts on these 3 episodes? You still in?
Yeah, I'm still in. I think it's really well done. I can honestly say it's been a while since really hate, like they always give you this thing like superheroes are like these moralistic high ground. So when you get these characters that have this power and they're abusing it, nothing makes me hate that more. Like it just, I really hate some of the, and despite how they try to humanize, and they do a good job of balancing, some of the hardships that they've gone through, but it's a system that has kind of made them corrupt in a way. So, right from the start, can you blame them if they've been manufactured? So right from the start, everything's like basically a lie in their life. And that was evident from the 6th episode, The Innocents. So, I'm still into it. It's very interesting. And, I'm not usually into superhero stuff, but I would say this is kind of a,
anti-superhero.
Yeah, it's kind of a branch off that, really.
Yeah. Homelander. Let's start off with him, because he, I think, is somebody that has some issues. This plane sequence, God. It really was. First of all, he got really lucky that when he opened the hatch, they were all wearing their seatbelts, and because of course the terrorists fly out the hatch because of the air. But they got really lucky with that. But then, man, the way he just leaves them and how nonchalant he is when the plane is crashing, because obviously to himself he's like, I'm fine. Yeah, I'll get out. I'll have no big deal. Everyone else is freaking F out, and it's just like he's just so chill.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that Maeve brings it up to him. He probably could have, and I wrote this down in a note, he probably could have saved them. But when she says, you can fly back and forth and drop, and he's like, that many times? And it was an inconvenience.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Inconvenience. Like, you just blasted through the cockpit with your eyes.
Just lower them down until you could drop them in the water. You don't even bring them to land. Just put them in the water. Yeah. They got a better chance.
Yeah, but then it was, the way he spun this was such. He's one of those characters now where I just love to hate him so much. Where because the saving of the plane was supposed to be their like ticket to be like, see, you need us in the army, we need this. But then he spins it completely as this master stroke here of pretty much, well, see, if only I was there sooner, I could have prevented this. And it's just like, just the way he just, man. And
yep.
But
which is, and all this exacerbates the fact that in the beginning we hear, oh, Homelander, he's the best one. And it's like, he's absolutely the total opposite. Worst. Yeah.
And man, what some weird mom-son stuff happening between him and the VP there. Some weird stuff going on. I don't want to judge anyone in their escapades, but whatever. This is weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, he's jealous of the kid and all that she has. It's just, it's very, very weird.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about Starlight and Huey.
Okay.
They're definitely getting closer. Yeah. Huey, being pushed by the butcher to, plant the bug on her phone. And it's one of those things when you're watching this, because we've seen TV at this point.
You know where this...
At some point, she's going to find out. And it's like, no, that's not why I'm with you. Like, I actually like you. Maybe it started that way, but now it's like, it's just, you already can feel the pain in these moments watching it.
Well,
when she finds out.
I was going to say, I guess this is like everything in life. If he had just come clean sooner, I think it would have been totally fine. Like, it would have been totally and absolutely fine. It would have been hell to explain, but I think she would have been more understanding, because he also doesn't realize the crap that she's gone through with this stuff. And if they were legit talking to each other, they would get it across. But of course, it's a show and there needs to be drama.
And then we end pretty much with Butcher here pretty much implying that she will find out about Translucent and what Huey had to do with that. So it's coming up. And Huey's like, well, wait, what do you mean by that? Like, when, how, who, what, where?
But also, can we talk about, and I think this is the flash that he keeps seeing his ex or his girlfriend in the back, because when you think about this, the time frame is really close, right?
It's really close.
So I think
we haven't even gone a week, have we?
I think it's like a week and a half to a couple of weeks. Yeah, it's not been that long. So
it was only like a couple of days from.
It's been like 4 days.
Her death.
But to be fair, can you blame him? Can you blame him? I mean, you can't really blame him.
Okay, yeah. But let's see. What's some other characters? I want to bring up Deep here, Deep character, because I'm actually confused from like maybe the audience show perspective here. What we should be like? Should we be feeling for?
Deep? I think because I think the biggest question was he having relations with that dolphin.
Yeah, that is another question. I mean, possibly. I feel like, isn't that like a running joke with all like the Aquaman and like all those like things that's like something's going on between them? But I feel like, what does the show, before his like fake apology in episode 6, like, it's almost like, oh, we're supposed to like laugh at this goofy guy who's taking this dolphin and trying to bring him, and he's riding in the car listening to Spice Girls, and it's like, oh, look at me, like it's just like a dumb, goofy guy. But it's like, no, I remember him from the first episode. Yeah. I remember what he did. He's not a good guy. Like, what? Like, I just feel like they're almost like humanizing him in a way. I don't know. I don't feel right sometimes in those scenes.
You think it's one of those things where the pilot was filmed way earlier and they kind of changed his role, or?
I feel like he was much, much darker in the pilot. Maybe you're right. Like, they filmed it so, and they're like, well, no, let's make him dumb and goofy now. Like, we need a little comic relief.
I think I think it could be something like that, or maybe it could just be like a version of like a guy just failing upwards because he's hated by so many people. He just thinks people just think he's a joke, but then like he's this, I don't know, just good looking dude that just fails upward. Like, he's not really great at anything and he's not respected by many people, but then he's still there. You know what I mean? So I guess it's just your typical, I don't know, guy that fails upwards, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Just from like a show perspective, I'm like, am I supposed to laugh here? Like, I just feel weird laughing here just from what we've seen earlier with this guy. It's just, I don't know. But, Yeah, so one other storyline we can bring up here. This one isn't working for me, and I feel like this might be a controversial take on the podcast. I want to see what you guys think. The storyline really isn't working for me is kind of Butcher's team, specifically Frenchie and the woman in the cage that we later find out she's not weak. She's actually super strong, and maybe this kind of being bred as a supervillain terrorist before she escaped there. Just, I don't know, just the whole thing isn't really working for me. All those scenes, I'm like, oh, can we get back to Homelander or Huey or anyone else? I'm just not really into that stuff. You guys, what do you guys think, John?
I agree. I think that the team needs something to distract them from the core heroes, but I don't think this is quite working very well. I am curious to see if it will be resolved soon or if it's gonna go even into another even bigger thing. But I don't know. I don't hate it, but it's not anything I'm like, oh yeah, all right, back to this. It's more like, oh, all right, back to this.
I think the main problem with it is because the character couldn't talk. It was a lot of the same back and forth. Like he's trying to connect with her, she can't talk. He's trying to connect, and it's like the same scene almost in like 3 or 4 different occasions of him trying to work it out, and then he can't. So it's just that it just got to be like, okay, we get it. Can we move forward now that we know that there's some kind of barrier between the communication?
Probably like a third to half of their interaction could probably be pruned out, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's almost
because it was
the same thing.
What was it, like 3 episodes, I think, is pretty much, we met her, I think, in episode 4.
And then it's taken this long to, that's what I'm saying. It's just too much of the same thing.
I will say, I'm glad one thing this storyline gave us was the mesmerizer, Haley Joel Osment character. I thought that was a fun little moment. And this, even the whole like Comic-Con type panel, we got a Seth Rogen cameo. And then we even had, I noticed, was it Billy Zane just as himself? Like he's this soup in this world that he's just, it's Billy Zane just as himself. I just thought it was a nice, fun little detail.
That's fun. I will say the jokes in this show are pretty good. Like some of the lines that they have, when he's I think when he's talking to A-Train or somebody about Pop Claw, and he's like, the line was, or you'll find the video like in the Fatal Cunnilingus section on porn. I was like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, well, didn't end well for Popclaw in this one. She came and went. The whole A-Train and Popclaw. And A-Train and Homelander are learning more about the team here from Popclaw and Mesmerizer and some other people. Definitely stuff is going to come to a head, I think, obviously in these last 2 episodes. And then we have this whole thing with Starlight versus Vought, like this whole company. She kind of played her hand about like, well, you're not going to fire me because I'm going to use the, kind of the sexual assault as leverage that you can not fire me. But then the VP like called her out and was like, all right, we see your hand and we're going to have the, Deep do his apology and get ahead of this. So it'll be interesting to see here, what happens between that and if Starlight maybe finally somehow teams up with Huey and that whole Butcher team.
Yeah, that's what I want to happen. But I know it's not gonna be that simple.
Yeah.
And also Butcher hates every superhero. So how's that gonna work out? When he effectively has one, he did have Mesmerizer on his side for a hot second, but he has the girl that was been changed, and then he's got hopefully Starlight, but I don't know.
Do we know?
Let's all take Compound V and just take a shot and here we go.
Does Frenchie have powers? It's almost was like, it kind of seemed like he might, but
sure.
Some kind of like brain power or something, but I don't know if we ever really delved that far into it. Did they talk about it, or did I just infer that and it's not existent? Or
I just think he's like an all-around guy that can like...
He's just a drugged-up chemist, Stark is saying?
Yeah, basically he can get you what you want, kind of like a mercenary or something.
Hey, that's a superpower for some people, but...
Yeah. A question that I just thought of. Now, because you just said, oh, let's all take Compound V. Does Compound V then only work when they're older for the superheroes? Or does it work with anybody and they can turn anybody into a superhero?
I don't think we know.
I don't know. We got to try it. See, I'm hoping episode 7, they're like, you know what? Let's try it. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, what do we got to lose? I mean, because that could certainly help their team go up against the 7. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The Boys, episodes 7 and 8. We are finishing up our summer TV catch-up of The Boys season 1. Season 1 dropped July 26, 2019. Let's see, 2 weeks ago, we did episodes 1 through 3. Last week, we did 4 through 6. It's our last week here, and we're talking about the Self-Preservation Society and You Found Me. Of course, there's going to be spoilers for season 1 here. This show is based on the comic book of the same name, and it follows a team of vigilantes that fight back against a superpowered individual team who abuse their abilities. John, let's go to you. What do you think of these final 2 episodes?
I enjoyed them. Certainly a twist at the end, maybe enough that I have 2 different ideas of how it ended, to be honest. I'm not quite sure.
That's how
but,
I was, yeah.
Right?
We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out. I'm sure once we bounce ideas off each other, we'll know. But yeah, I think so far it's been living up to the hype I've heard about it, and I've been enjoying it. I don't know if I want to dive too deep without hearing what you guys want to say, to be honest.
Okay.
But I'm in for season 2. I think I'm there.
Yeah, season 2 is right around the corner. I'm in as well. I really enjoyed season 1. I will say, I was telling Kyle, as much as I liked the last 2, I can't remember who it was in the chat, if it was Mustix or Dark, I can't remember who it was, but the jaws on the floor, I think you hyped me up so much that I was like, whoa, at the end, but I wasn't like, just because, you know, anytime anyone tells me that, my expectations go too high. But I know, Kyle, your jaw was on the floor.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, no, it was very surprising. I mean, I guess we can spoiler alert.
Spoil.
But I was anticipating Madeline getting killed, but I did not see the ending coming at all. Him taking the butcher to wherever his wife is. But yeah, that was definitely a shocker.
So yeah, let's talk about that first. We're going to jump around to that, John, here. Let's talk about the Butcher and Homelander kind of ending here. In these last 2 episodes, we get a flashback to 8 years ago to explain why Butcher is seeking revenge. His wife worked at the company of Vought, and she's missing. And it looks like it's because of Homelander. There's implications that she was possibly forced into having sex with Homelander, ends up pregnant, and as we're led to believe, dies, and the baby dies as well. Well, we flash forward a bit, and we find out that after he does kill Madeline, the vice president of Vought, by burning her eyes, no more lies. She lies. She cares more about that baby, and maybe have lied about where the wife is. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Or he knew all along and then takes Butcher to show, hey, look who's here. It's your wife and, my kid. And that's how we end season 1. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little unclear. I guess now that solves it up that this is real. I wasn't sure if he
maybe
died and this is some kind of weird I don't know. But then why would Homelander be there? So yeah, I guess Homelander either was told at the last minute when they were whispering where they were, which I doubt because it seems like they all knew each other. Or yeah, Homelander knew and has been visiting there, or I don't know. See, it's a little confusing to me, but I think the takeaway is that she's not dead, the kid's not dead. Obviously, both the Butcher and Homelander know now if they didn't know earlier. And yeah, we'll have to see. You know, obviously this is the first kid that they have record of being born of a soup. So. Mm-hmm. Is this where they're getting V from? Who knows? I think there's more we have to find out next season.
See, I was on the same thing because I was like, when I was watching it, when I was watching the video or the video when Homelander goes in with Butcher's wife and then she comes out, I was like, wait, I can't tell. Did she get raped because that's what the Butcher said? And so at the end, I was like, is this willing? Is she willingly doing this? Or did Vought like hide her and told her we'll like kill your child if we you know what I mean? Like this is it's a weird.
There's a lot of questions because we were talking about it earlier, Kyle and I, and it's like, is it something because we see her after the altercation first with Homelander putting her clothes back on? It doesn't look like she really enjoyed whatever happened there, and then at the end here, it's kind of we see this expression like, "Oh crap!" Like Butcher sees me, like kind of thing. So it's like, wait, is she into this Homelander thing, or is Homelander just because he's a darn superhero that if she tries to escape at any point, it's like she's going to end up just like Madeline. Like, you know?
No, yeah, I feel you. But I want to go back to the video for a second because I literally just, in my mind, just thought of this. Because the Butcher says his wife goes into the room, she comes out, and this is what he tells Huey, right? She goes into the room, she comes out, he never sees her again. Now, I know how human anatomy works, and usually you can't tell when you're pregnant.
Do you?
Until a little while. But he says he never saw his wife again after that moment. So does that mean that the baby inside her grew like instantaneously, or somebody caught her?
And Dark in chat is right. He saw her on the bench in the park. Remember
who?
His wife. The camera that was on that park bench.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that's the last time that I see. I don't know. That can't be the last time he saw her then. If he saw that video of her on the bench. My guess is that there was some time in between, and that enough time passed where she figured it out, and she was on that park bench maybe trying to figure out how to tell the Butcher when she disappeared. Is my thought of the timeline.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. Maybe we have to do a rewatch now. I don't know.
So I just want to go back to the lab guy though that was doing experiments on Homelander, right? So he said he was done lying to Homelander as well, and we clearly find out that he lied to Homelander again, even though he felt bad and he was sorry.
Now, is that some kind of like Madeline thing of like no more lying? Yeah. And then Madeline, as vice president, had him lie. I don't know.
Well, he would know if the doctor was lying because he can see people's heart rates and all that, and so maybe the doc said no more lying. Then. But Homelander knew he was still lying,
Yeah. I don't know. A lot going on with that. Obviously, we'll find out very soon in Season 2 more details about what's going exactly on there. We'll also find out more about A-Train and Starlight and Huey. They kind of wrap things up. Huey and Starlight finally have sex. They're finally together. Homelander pieces it all together, though. And the boys' families are taken. A-Train is there, after Huey's dad. A-Train breaks his leg, though, with a little surprise attack. And then A-Train is, coming after Huey regardless. Starlight's there with him. And then A-Train actually ends up having some kind of like heart attack, pushing himself too far, after his quick recovery. And then Starlight calls and, calls it in. And it looks like it's saving him. What do you think this means for Season 2 here? Is this going to be some kind of like secret Starlight holds on to? Obviously, A-Train's there and he can say exactly what. Maybe he's like, what's coming in Season 2?
A-Train was dying. To me, I think
he definitely looked like he was dying.
I think he's going to be out. I think that
he's gone.
Yeah, I think Starlight's
no more A-Train.
Slowly figuring out that while Huey started for the wrong reason, he might be in it for the right reason, especially after her interactions with the other soups. But I don't know. We'll have to figure out how that plays out, I guess.
If A-Train doesn't die, there's no way Starlight can be a part of that crew anymore. She either has to book it or I don't know. I don't know how she can talk her way out of that. Why was she there? I mean, because obviously Vought was a part of how those guys got taken. So I don't know how she gets out of that, talks her way out of that situation already, because people are suspicious of her.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of questions in the Season 1 finale. Real quick, what's going on with Deep? What's going on with Deep? and Sandusky.
That's the worst
What's going
part
on
of
with him?
this show.
Yeah.
I just don't know. We talked about it last week, where it's just like, what does the show want us to
And it got
feel
weirder.
and care and do? And
It got weirder.
yeah, I mean, he got something going on with his gills, and
Maybe
Yeah.
it's quite painful. And then he shaves his head and has his, moment to the mirror. The existential crisis.
starting to feel the other side of that book. Doing something against his will. Maybe that's where his arc's going.
Yeah,
I
don't
feel
know.
like that.
I don't know how it's going to come back.
The storyline is probably the weakest part of the show, and I don't. It just feels like they have Chase Crawford in there, and they've got to figure out how they're going to utilize him. I mean, I don't know. It maybe that's the end of his storyline, because I don't know, or he realizes that he's like what he did to Starlight is coming back to haunt him. I don't know, but it's bad.
Dark in the chat. I think it's really just showing that in real life, Aquaman is just super lame. I mean, yeah, maybe. It could be. One character that isn't lame, I actually started really liking towards the end, is Noir. He doesn't talk, but man, he makes me laugh. There's a great line, Homelander is like, they're all at the table at the conference there, and they're like, man, you are all so sloppy, except you, Noir. You were doing great. Keep it up. It's just like... And then he, at the party, he just like goes to the piano and just starts going at it. It's just like, again, not saying a word, but just, comically just making me laugh. But I don't know. Real quick, any other season 2 predictions before we go? Anything with season 2, John? Anything you want to see?
Boy, I don't know. I'm not sure where we're going from here. I mean, does the Butcher keep playing a role in this? Is he going to be done in the next couple episodes? I mean, it's going to be a weird one with that reveal at the end. So I don't know. I it's kind of an open book for me right now, I feel like. Yeah,
because you bring up a point earlier, Kyle, where if she is left him against his will, like he was only doing this because Homelander, did what he did. But it's like, well, maybe if she was into it, then
my concern was the minute that reveal happens, like if there's any complicitness in anything, all the motivation for the Butcher goes out the window. I mean, what does he have to keep going on anymore? I personally already watched the season 2 trailer, and they
going ahead.
Have already cleared that up for me in the first 5 seconds of the trailer. So it makes sense now, but at the time I was like, this is I don't know.
Sneaking ahead. All right. But we'll get to season 2. We'll definitely be talking about it when it comes out in September. It seems like we all enjoyed The Boys season 1, and that's a wrap on the summer TV catch-up series. The Boys season 2. The first 4 episodes we're talking about. They released 3 on September 4th. They released another one on September 11th. We're talking about 4 episodes here. The Big Ride, Proper Preparation and Planning, Over the Hill with the Swords of 1,000 Men, and Nothing Like It in the World. So obviously spoilers for the first half of season 2. The boys are back in town, and they are wanted fugitives, including Butcher, who is framed for Stillwell's murder. As they hide, they attempt to gain a sample of Compound V to expose Vought, who has a new CEO, and also a new superhero joining the 7 named Stormfront. A lot to unpack in 4 episodes here of The Boys. Let's start off with John. Overall thoughts of the first half of this season. Are they keeping with it? Is just as good as season 1? Better? Yeah, you're in?
I'm in. They're ramping it up. They're getting deep. I see
what you did there.
Yeah. Why is Fresca so important? What's up with why is there milk mentioned and seen so many times? What's going on with everybody? Why nobody's safe? You got Homelander giving that speech on the beach, which was almost word for word the same as President Bush's speech at 9/11. Almost exactly word for word the same speech. It's getting heavy. It's getting pretty crazy. I'm in. I'm enjoying it. I want more.
Yeah, it's gonna be week to week. We'll talk about the issues with that later on. But Kyle, what about you? Overall thoughts, and then we're gonna dive deep into each character, including Deep.
Okay. I'm really enjoying. I'm really enjoying it. It is crazy. I didn't know milk could make me shudder as much as
milk was a bad choice.
Yeah, it was a bad choice. But yeah, no, I am really enjoying it. They get right in there and they get to the action, and I love that. And everything about the first season they've kind of carried over. It's definitely an enjoyable watch. It's very different superhero vibe, and I really like that about this show.
As I'm sitting here, I'm thinking of more. I'm sorry. They keep bringing back Billy Joel, but it's a bunch of songs off of his album Stormfront. It's like that. everything crunches in together and like has some kind of tie. It's really well thought out, and the more I think about things, I'm like, oh wow, like it's good. It's good.
I've never seen John so excited on the podcast. I'm loving it.
We figured out the key.
I figured it out. Oh man, yeah, I'm in. I like The Boys. Yeah, as Kyle said, you go right into the action, and at points I will say I almost feel like it feels like rushed. I feel at points like I'll start a new episode and I'm like, did we yada something? Like I feel like I missed something here because it was just like. For instance, it's just like a thing where A-Train is in a coma in the first episode. I'm like, okay, man, is this going to be like the season? We're going to have this, will he spill the beans when he wakes up about the finale and start? And then episode 2, we're on like a talk show circuit, and it's like, I got a surprise for you. Come on out, A-Train. And I'm like, it was a surprise for us and Starlight, because I'm like, wait, he was just in a coma. He's running around. He's fine. Like, yeah. Did I miss a scene, a connecting thing? It's just like, no, you go right into it, and we just boom, 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 boom. Lot going on. I want to kind of go in groups, maybe. That'd probably be the best way when we're talking about 4 episodes. Let's start off with Vought and just kind of what they're up to. Looks like the Army contract went through, and we have a new boss. We met him last season, but he's officially there. The CEO, he's the face. No more Madeline. It's Stan, or as you guys may know him as Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito. It's Gus Fring to me. I'm going to refer to him as Gus Fring. He's standing up to Homelander here. But Kyle, we talked a little bit earlier about this. Homelander versus Gus Fring. Who do you think?
Okay. All right, and John, you can tell me what you think. But when I was watching this scene, the main scene where Homelander confronts Gus Fring, confronts Stan, I'm thinking, and this really goes with any character that's in a scene with Homelander, he has so much power. He's like this, he's the Superman of this show, that no one can do anything to this dude. So there's no leverage that Giancarlo Esposito's character could have over Homelander, that Homelander can't just beam him to oblivion and Vought would easily replace a suit. That was my thinking.
It's got to be some kind of information. That's the only thing I could think of that, would be released upon his death. I'm not sure, but yeah, I agree. It's hard to have any leverage over somebody who can in an instant just remove you. Also
not only beam him with your eyes, he can look into like your soul to make sure that you're saying the truth. It's insane. And then he can fly in an instant. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I was joking with Kyle. It's like, because it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if he kills another person here, because the Madeline is, her death is blamed on Butcher. So it's like, okay, another death of a high-powered Vought executive here. And it's like, start people piece it together, or if, everyone just sees it's Homelander. Because right now, in the regular people in this universe, they think Homelander is the nicest, coolest guy in the world. But then this would obviously be different than that. And even if that charade is gone and now Homelander is going to prison, it's like, well, let's just blow up the prisoners, or the prison guards. It's like, unless there's some kind of super facility that they could put him in. But I think he's pretty much can break through anything. So there's no repercussions for this guy.
I hate to draw more comparisons to Superman, but unless there's some sort of kryptonite-like material,
that's what I said.
That maybe Gus knows about or has access to, or maybe there's a compound B or something that deactivates soups, or like I don't know. There has to be something
in that milk.
Yeah.
There has to be something that he has. I don't think he could be that good at bluffing, especially when, like you said, Homelander can see how fast their heart's beating and tell when people are lying, and like I don't know. He's got to have something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things he's having an issue with Stan Homelander is the replacements for the Seven. First, there was this kind of dark humor type bit of the inclusion of different groups for the millennials, and he destroys a blind hero's hearing. He's like, no, this is not happening. We're not in the Seven. Instead, we get Stormfront, played by Aya Cash. Man, I know Kyle and you're the worst fans.
Yeah.
This is just Gretchen with a cape, right?
Yeah, yeah, I like
it's the same energy.
Yeah, I like Aya Cash. So when I saw her, I was excited for her to be in the show, honestly. But yeah, I when she first got onto the scene, and it's like, except for Starlight, with all these superheroes, you have that initial reaction of like, oh man, they're good, like whatever, like it's one of the good ones, like she's cool, and then it's just, oh my god, the horror. I'm like, what am I seeing with my eyes right now? You know what I mean?
It's not good.
I know what you mean.
It's not good when your character introduction is designed to make you look really, really annoying. Not good.
And not only that, we learned by episode 4, she is past superhero named Liberty, and also super racist.
Yeah.
Very racist. So we're going to have to see where this ends up going. It's a very tough storyline.
Another thing that we need to mention, the fact that aging, what is she, like a vampire superhero? There's got to be something else going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Electroshock therapy.
There you go. Yeah, so we got that, and definitely having some issues with Homelander. So definitely there's possibly some battle between them. And if we talk about Homelander, he has his own set of issues. We'll start off with the easier ones first. Forcing his kid now into using his powers, throwing him off the roof, just pushing him to be Homelander 2, Homelander Jr. here.
Mm-hmm.
John, what do you think of this storyline with the kid here?
That was rough, and it's unfortunate that the solution to that was to, get in an argument with his mother and go through his feelings, basically, and to make him defend his mother. And he was happy that, he didn't even care about the mother. He was just happy the kid was showing off his powers and all that. It's kind of sad, to be honest, but, it does give an interesting look into this. We had all those kids made with Compound V, but not this one. Yeah. This one's naturally born. So now that somebody was made a soup with Compound V, does that mean that, their kids are all going to be soups? Or do we know? We don't know for sure that Homelander wasn't the first soup, do we? Like, is he? We don't know that Compound V wasn't made from him. You know what I mean? So some things in that equation are a little bit unknown right now, and I want to see how they pan out.
Yeah, there's a lot unknown with that, and also maybe I missed something. You guys can fill me in. There's a point where I guess Homelander's captive wife, Butcher's real wife, is calling someone, and pretty much like Homelander's not supposed to know. That's the deal. Do we know exactly who she was talking to? Because also we later see she's not going with the Butcher when the Butcher comes to save her here. Doesn't leave with him. So she's staying there with her kid in Homelander in a way. Do we know who's on the other end of that call? Did I miss it?
I would just assume it's somebody high up at Vought or the scientist dude, maybe. Yeah. Those are my only two thoughts, but I have to assume it's she's got I think because she has a child not made from Compound V, that she's got a direct line wherever she wants to, and I'm pretty sure that's probably the only power she has in the situation that she's in.
Yeah. And then the other thing Homelander's big issue dealing with is the stuff with Madeline. There's some weird stuff still going on past her death.
He's got such a crazy Oedipus complex. Yeah. It is insane.
He's using a
little food for thought. If Madeline's dead, where's he getting all that milk that he's drinking from? Is that coming out of Doppelganger?
No, I just thought it was regular milk. No, you didn't have to go there.
I thought it was just the one from the freezer.
No, he threw that all over the ground in the office.
Oh, man, well.
Where's he getting that from?
No, I don't even know that, but Doppelganger is reenacting stuff with him and as Madeline here. Doesn't look too well for him at the end of episode 4.
Yeah.
Which I was surprised by, because I feel like that's a character, man, you really would want for the long haul.
Yeah.
Doppelganger. Because you could use that so well, just someone being someone else. Like that in Transparent, to have those kind of two different powers.
Yeah. But seeing Homelander in any scene with anybody, does that fill you with more dread than... Yeah. It's like, I don't know if I've ever had a character where I'm literally fearing for other characters' lives. The minute he enters any scene, it's immediately, the guy's a complete sociopath. It's insane.
Yeah, and I will say, I got to shout out Nick Boyle, because back last year, in March, feels like forever ago, when we did our character bracket, best TV character on, I didn't know who to pick from Amazon. I just picked I can't remember who I picked. Might have been Butcher, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He was like, no, you probably should do Homelander.
So
they put Homelander in there, and I
think... we messed up. We should have gone with the superhero man, dude.
No, I think we did do Homelander.
Oh, I'm saying...
we should have voted for him.
I'm saying that...
Yoda beat him.
I'm saying Boyle is the superhero man, and we should have gone with him.
We should have. I will say some things not working for me in The Boys, though. Stuff with Deep still.
Yeah, that's gotta go.
Season 1, I was like, what are we doing with Deep? What are we doing here still? To make him even more relevant, now he's hanging out with Hawkeye, of all people, pretty much.
Yeah.
Getting into Scientology. And then we have Patton Oswalt voicing the Gills, and he's singing love songs back at him. Like, what is happening? What is going on here?
Yeah, I hate all of that. I hate the Deep storyline. The only thing I can think of is it's an avenue for whatever that collective church cult thing, because it's definitely culty with how Stormfront reacted. So if he does come back to the 7, which I imagine he will, because why would you have Chase Crawford just doing this nonsense? There's going to be a storyline there. It's just like, do I care about the Deep enough? I don't think I do. I don't think I really care.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. And it goes back to what we said during our season 1 catch-up, where after what we saw in the first episode, when in episode 4, 5, 6, when we're seeing him be this goofy, dumb guy, we're supposed to wait a minute, is he now the comical thing of this? No, he was terrible. I remember that first episode.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that switch that's quick. It was just, am I supposed to feel bad for him now? No, I don't. So I need either to figure out what's going on here or just not have this. I don't, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Dark in the chat. Yeah, I feel like there is something there building up for him. Oh, we're gonna have to wait and see.
It's got to be that collective thing, whatever that situation is. That's got to come back and play a part. Otherwise, what are we doing with him?
Why are they drinking so much Fresca?
Yeah. I was like, is that a throwaway line that I forget that the Deep really likes Fresca? I don't know.
I think it's an analog to the Kool-Aid with the Jonestown stuff. That's the only thing I can think of. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where maybe at one point they'll put something in his Fresca and tell him to drink it, but I don't know. That's my guess.
Could be. Another thing that wasn't working for me, but it also could have been my TV's fault, was the stuff with the female and the super terrorist brother here. We got the two of them together, and they're having these scenes together. One uses sign language because she's mute, and the other one is speaking in a foreign language. I didn't have any subtitles.
Really?
I don't know what happened here, because Kyle, you had the same issue.
Yeah, I had the same exact issue, and the first scene that what they were doing together, I was like, okay, maybe I'm supposed to get some
context,
context about what's happening. And then another scene happened with both of them. I'm like, there's no way they would put two scenes with no subtitles here. So I had to physically go in to my TV and turn on the subtitles because they weren't.
But yeah, that's so weird because like those should be burned into the program. Like I bring up Better Call Saul or Breaking Bad as an example. The show, when it airs on TV and on Netflix, automatically the subtitles of when they're in Mexico speaking Spanish come up. And that's what should be happening here. Even if you have subtitles off for the rest of the show, for the English, the English words here, the other ones should come up, at least in this country, for that language. And then each country would have their own subtitles to come up. But to not have them at all, to physically have to add them in, that's wrong user interface there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are talking about Amazon here, where the interface is like 1% friendly.
Yeah. But yeah, real quick, some other things I'll just say. I will say the humor is definitely still here.
Oh my God. Yeah, there was a couple of things I wrote down, but what do you have?
Well, let's see. I got a couple. I got everything at the funeral of Translucent with the photos of like his life. And obviously he's invisible, so it's just like a t-shirt. Like it's just like so dumb, and the music's playing. Yeah. But I think also the appearances by Chris Hansen and Maria Menounos.
Oh my God, Maria Menounos. That one was fantastic.
She's asking some hard-hitting questions. Questions you can't ask. You can't ask Maria, who in the 7 is gay? You can't just say that. Like, you can't out someone on TV. What are you doing, Maria?
Well.
What are you doing? Yeah.
Maria Menounos, that cracked me up so much because you just see her at the movie theater, and I've forgotten about Maria Menounos, and
we haven't gone to the movies. She's here. Yeah. Anything else stand out for you guys?
Was I in Another Planet in episode 2? Did they mention watching Bosch as a reference? I was like,
must have missed
who's watching Bosch? This is such an Amazon show, right? Such crap. That's so annoying. The Maria Menounos thing. There was, I think in episode 3, there was the Lin-Manuel Miranda, like he was supposed to play somebody's voice or something.
Yeah, when they were doing the pitch for the Avengers movie, with like, who are we going to get for Translucent? And it's like, we can get Lin-Manuel Miranda as the voice.
Yeah.
So dumb.
And then everyone's like, oh my God, I love him. He's so great. Yeah. So stupid. Oh my God.
The Boys, Season 2, the finale, What I Know. It aired October 9th. We've really talked about this show over the last 2 months here. Episode 305 through episode 307, we discussed every episode of Season 1. And in 310, we discussed the first half of this season. But now we're talking about the second half of this season. So guess what? Spoiler alert, we're going to spoil Season 2 of The Boys. Okay? Now, after Butcher's witnesses, all of his witnesses, and many others are killed at a trial against Vought, the boys need a new plan and a new way to take down Stormfront. All right. See, we got Dark just tuning in for this, but at the perfect moment, he's excited. But John, what about you? Were you excited about the end of The Boys?
Oh yeah, I was ready. I wanted my not my head to explode, but my mind to be blown. And I think in some ways it delivered. I thought it was a pretty strong season 2 finale. There were a lot of points where things clicked into place, and as much as I liked that, it also felt like it wrapped up in a very square, secure package, almost like they aren't expecting a season 3. Now, I'm pretty sure they've been renewed for a 3, but
we know.
No, but I don't know. It's just it ended. I felt like it ended very square, and I kind of wasn't into that, but the rest of it I was really into and I enjoyed.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed season 2. I enjoy the show. The darkness, the humor, exciting moments, they're all still there in this season. For me, I will say the pacing fell off this season, and I don't know if it's because of the release schedule we're not used to. We saw, season 1 at our leisure. Whenever we wanted to, we could binge that. Here we were watching it weekly. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but for me, it felt like we had this huge lead up to the finale. And then I felt the finale was like, boom, 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 boom. We got to rush through. We got to get things done. Like, just to run through some storylines. It's like, okay, well, Starlight's captured as a mole in episode 7, but immediately she's broken out. Then Butcher makes a deal with Stan to return the kid back to him, but immediately takes that deal back. And then the witnesses explode at the end of episode 7, but the boys, they need another way because all their witnesses are dead. Well, what are we going to do? Oh, well, here's the information on Stormfront. Go leak this. And it's like, well, they were just like handed the stuff. And it was like all within a few minutes just to like, well, yeah, we got to get that storyline done because now we got to go get the missing kid, the rescue the kid from Homelander. So it's like, we just had so many things to like settle after all the buildup of season 2. That's where, yeah, I had some issues with, Dark saying it was insanely convenient. But yeah, so what did you think, Kyle, of season 2 in general, and maybe the finale as well?
I like season 2. I don't think season 2 was as good as season 1 overall, but I was really into season 2. Followed along closely. I was loving every second of it. I mean, no, I've said this before, but Homelander, I mean, is one of the best characters. He just is. You just live in fear every minute he's on the screen because in true sociopathic, personality, it's just wild, the fear that he can put into you because it can go either way. And with that being said, I still don't know how anybody has anything over him. He's like the strongest dude in the. I mean, the guy can do anything. What's stopping him, pretty much?
We'll talk about that a little bit because Maeve has some blackmail over him later on. But I want to talk with one thing I want to ask. Maybe we can clear up before we break down, I think, each of the different characters and what happened. That might be the easiest way to break down the season. The stuff with Vought, I am a little confused now with what their plan is as a company, because it's like they're making more soups, in their little underground prison system. They're releasing Compound V out, but like, what do you think that would like hurt their brand?
If everyone could be a superhero,
if everyone's a superhero, that's oversaturation of the market. It's like, well, who's going to want their merchandise in movies when? Well, I'm a superhero, like I'm a superhero. You're a superhero. We're all superheroes.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're relying on the instability of a not from birth soup to make more terrorist soups. You know what I mean? Because it seemed like from the testing they were doing at that facility, all the people who had it introduced when they weren't born with it, they kind of all couldn't really control their powers or were like wildly dangerous or had like, those crazy personality swings or whatever it was that made them need to be locked up and in that facility. That's what it kind of seemed like was happening with anyone who didn't receive it from birth. So I'm wondering if maybe they were trying to use this as an excuse to give it to more people in order to create more of the terrorist soups that they could then say, oh, you need us even more, let's do XYZ,
Yeah, I see that, but yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. I could then, it's like, well, then whatever, in this scenario, Vaught's Disney, and then you have Universal. It's like, well, we're going to make our own Compound Y. And it's just like, this is our version of this, and we have our team of superheroes. And it's just like, well, everyone has superheroes, and everyone's a superhero. Then the world is just going to be chaos. And yeah, it's like, if everyone's that, then no one is. I'm just kind of confused with just the whole plan of the Vought company.
Yeah. We did also see like Darkseid in chat is that it seems like V is very addictive. As we saw with A-Train. Maybe they're trying to move less into marketing superheroes and into marketing the drug itself, where you could be a soup. You just got to pay $1,000 a vial, and once you get on it, you're hooked.
Yeah, it's like tier status. Like, be a part of our A level, the AMC A list. Get your COVID. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. But yeah, it's like, so it'd be like perpetual drug trade, legally done.
Yeah, well, two people that don't need any more Compound V, or should never have had it to begin with, Homelander and Stormfront. We had them this season get together. We got some kind of some rough BDSM type stuff going on between them. We got some stuff. We thought Homelander's stuff with the old vice president there was a lot.
Yeah. That's true.
And now Stormfront was like the new stepmom to Homelander's kid for a little bit. Homelander, though, he was being protested over this kind of war crime he had this season. He was hated. And man, the moment when he mowed down the crowd
Oh, yeah.
It was one of those moments that for the show, because the show always just takes risks and just does crazy things. For a second, I'm like, I thought this was real.
I did too.
And of course, and I was like, wow, we're going there.
Yep,
we're going there.
Yep.
Obviously, it didn't turn out to be real. Instead, he kind of uses Stormfront in her tactics that we may kind of already see in an election that we're in now, and using memes and stuff to make him likable again. It's weird because I feel like, maybe just because of the world we're living in, I don't want to make too many parallels, but at the end, Maeve then uses kind of like the airline footage as blackmail. Hey, if you do this, I'm going to show that you killed these innocents, all these people here. And it's like, well, he did kill some innocent people from a different country, and I'm sure there's a certain group of Americans that were like, well, there you go. But here, these are American innocent people. Would that change really the base, or could he make up some kind of excuse as a leader?
Like doctored video or...
Yeah, like, oh, it's doctor, that's fake news. Oh, this is that. No, actually, these people were actually bad people. And just making up something.
Yeah.
Because, they hated him then. Yeah. What's a few more bad things against him?
Well, I just want to bring up the fact that even though Homelander's evil and all that, with Stormfront being a Nazi, when she was going off about her Nazi propaganda to Homelander's son, even Homelander was like, okay, I'm gonna bypass that one and then move right along here. But yeah, no, I've thought about that. That's why I'm with Homelander, there's no real leverage you can use against him.
I think it boils down to is because he grew up in the scientists and all that, and them wanting him to perform and his need to kind of the gratification of that. I think he needs the people's gratification in order. And I think that's his kryptonite, is that if people don't like him, then he's not the front, he's not the star. I think that's going to be his kryptonite. I think that's why that film from Maeve had such a power over him, because there is no plan B for that. If that gets out, then there is no backtracking, there is no talking out of it, especially if she's the one who leaks it, a potential reputable source. So I think that's why that had such a big impact on him, is because he knows that there's no way out of it, that he's done if that gets out. So
Yeah, and I completely agree with you, and it kind of also goes a little bit back to what Kyle's saying, where it's like, well, he's Homelander. He'll mow you down. What's the big deal?
Yeah.
It's one of those
things. He can do
where,
whatever the F he wants.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we can move to Stormfront a little bit here. Bye-bye. See you later. That was it. You kind of knew it was coming. Just kind of sometimes they hire an actor, and it's like, oh, this is going to be the season-long arc. But, you never know in the boys' universe. She could have come back next season. She may still come back. Who the hell knows with this universe? I kind of had a feeling, though, quite a bit a while ago, back on September 15th, when an episode of the podcast, The Watch, came out, and Aya Cash, who plays Stormfront, was on the show and had this to say.
Everybody's actually incredibly warm and welcoming and playful and kind. And, I worked sort of mostly with the superheroes. I got to do a couple days with the boys, which was really fun. It's a totally different vibe too. I feel like it's, oh God, they're going to kill me. Whatever. I'm not around much longer, right? Who knows? But the boys. Yeah.
So I'm not around much longer. So it's like, yeah, kind of figured you'd be dead at a certain point. It's kind of surprising though that the Amazon wasn't like, no, you're not saying that.
Yeah.
But all right.
Well, she didn't really technically spoil too much. She was pretty vague. You don't really know what could happen.
I don't know. To me, it's like when I'm listening to it where it's just like, yeah, I worked with the boys for a little bit, and let me just say, I'm not around much anymore. To me, it's like, okay, well, you went up against the opposing team, and you're not around much, so I don't think you make it. That's my kind of
that's fair
confirmation. But yeah, I don't know. I will say her kind of fighting technique going against them, it's almost like a little like James Bond-ish, where it's like the villain in James Bond is like, well, you're my biggest enemy. I won't kill you. I'll just punch you and leave you on the ground. And she's like just throwing them around with lightning bolts, tripping them over, letting the van flip and just letting them out. It's just like, you could kill people these are your biggest enemies causing so much trouble.
That may
instead, let me just knock you over.
That may go into her personality where it's just like, oh, I'm so powerful that I don't care, like whatever. You're a nuisance, it's swatting the fly away instead of killing the fly,
Yeah. I will say,
how much easier would it be just to...
That character was almost equally as scary as Homelander with what she was pulling off, and so I think she did a really good job with it. So, equally when they're on screen, and then when they're there together with Homelander's son, it's like, oh my god, here we go.
Yep, and Homelander's kid saves the day, burns Stormfront. Mom looked pretty fine from burns, anyways. She got no burns. The mom, obviously the mom had some other issues, got a cut across her neck there, but so good aim for the kid, not used to his power. Somehow incinerated Stormfront, completely missed the mom. But yeah.
Did the butcher want to kill him, the little boy? I think he actually did. I'm gonna say it. I think he wanted to kill that little boy.
I mean, it's tough because it's not his boy.
Yeah, I know.
It's like this by association, but now it's like, well, that's the only thing he has left.
Sure, he wanted to, but whether he would have is a different.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, I don't know what's gonna go on with that storyline next season. I might have a little bit more interest in the Deep storyline, mostly the church storyline, if that was going to even come back or do anything, because the Deep was focused on the Church of the Collective this season, which is kind of like a Scientology type thing, going through an image rebrand. But he doesn't get back into 7. A-Train does instead. And I really thought for a while that the new villain, and by a while I mean 30 seconds, that the new villain was going to be the Church of the Collective there. He's talking with the congresswoman about the taxes. You're going to give us tax, free credit. Boom. Completely head blown up there. Nope, not anymore. He's not the villain. Instead, the villain looks like to be the congresswoman, and she was the one exploding all these heads. And Huey will be working for her, so this will be interesting.
Well, close to the thing. But the question is why, right? So why? Is she working with Vought? I saw some rumblings on Twitter that she's Vaught's like son there or daughter, excuse me.
I think she's in with Vought, yeah, because it seems like she was made to be the anti-Vought, but so that Vought can control the anti-Vought, you know what I mean? Because it seems like everything Vought, like every opposition they have was her. I don't know. It just seems like it that makes the most sense, is that she would be in Vaught's pocket.
Yeah.
And so how do you keep supervillains from going crazy or going outside the norm? You give everyone V and then have somebody that can blow them up in 2 seconds if they get out of line.
Yeah. I really thought that the person that was blowing people up like that was the person we saw escape that could crush people with her hand. Because we kind of set that up. We saw her escape at the end of the episode. She can crush people with the hand. So when I saw the hearing, I'm like, oh, is she outside? Is she in the building somehow? Is she doing it? And then when I saw it was the congresswoman, I was like, oh, that's strange. I mean, it kind of adds up if, you kind of go back to the season now. There was this Reddit post, I believe, where it's like when we first saw it in the very first episode, someone's head explode. The very, very next shot just happened to be the congresswoman. It was kind of like, they're kind of like setting a clue there that it was actually her doing this.
But the thing is from what I gather, and I haven't rewatched the episode, so I can't be sure, but she was outside the Church of the Collective guy's place. So I'm guessing she can't just blow up anybody's head. She has to be in visual contact with them.
Yeah, because if you watch any time that anyone blew up in that courtroom scene, she was looking at him.
Well, and then the original was the CIA, right? So was Butcher's friend that was working on the inside, and she said it's a coup from the inside. Remember, she said that to Butcher.
Put together,
yeah. She said there's a coup from the inside, and then she was like running away, trying to get alone because I think she thought something was up.
Yeah.
So she had to have been seen by the congresswoman somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll get answers to that, and we'll get answers to the Fresca thing. What's the deal with Fresca, man?
I don't know.
This show really is. I swear I thought it was going to be like some kind of mind control device or something from the Scientology group here, because what's the dig at it? They just don't like it?
I just think it was the joke at the end, right? There was a joke about how it's like a corny drink or something like that. I don't remember.
Either that or they're trying to do some kind of Pavlov thing where like whenever you hear, oh, do you want a Fresca? You agree with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
maybe.
I don't know. A lot of questions for season 3, and we mentioned it is renewed, but we'll have to wait and see when that actually comes out.
Well, the wait is now over because season 3 starts on Amazon Prime on Friday, June 3rd. We hope you guys are all caught up with our reviews and recaps of seasons 1 and 2 and feel you are ready for that premiere episode on June 3rd. In 2 weeks, we will be back to our regular scheduled discussions on all the latest in TV and entertainment news. Just to give you a sample of what's coming up on the docket: Stranger Things Season 4, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ms. Marvel, the season finale of Barry, Top Gun Maverick, and oh yeah, The Boys Season 3. These shows will be live on Twitch on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Dual Redundancy. If you're unable to see us live, don't worry. The video will be posted on our YouTube page, and then the audio will be available wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., etc. Be sure to follow us on social media so you know exactly what we are covering and when we are covering it. Twitter and Instagram at Dual Redundancy. I gotta make sure I thank Kyle, even though he wasn't here. A lot of hot takes throughout these discussions. And of course, gotta thank John for clipping this show together, getting it all stitched up and up into your podcast feed. I couldn't do it without either of them. Until next time, I'm one of the boys of Dual Redundancy, David Allen. Goodbye, everybody.